Literally every single one of us is connected. There is no separation. I am the trees are me. I am all these flowers, I'm everything here. The person watching this and the person recording this here, we are the same thing. We come from the same place. We are one. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the baby elephant community. On this channel we talk about spirituality, self-development, aliens, and so much more. And today's video is going to be different. It's a kind of like a reaction type video, except I'll get into the details about it in a minute. Haven't done one of these in a while, but I do have to give kind of a lengthy trigger warning because in this video we're going to be talking about entheogens, psychedelics, self-harm, suicide, and existentialism, really. So if that's something that triggers you, that is something that used to trigger me a lot. Maybe this video isn't for you, but I do want you to know that if you have been struggling with kind of depressing thoughts, or if you've had a psychedelic experience where, you know, something kind of negative happened to you, this experience is actually quite common. It's something that I went through myself. It will help you. If you watched VonTooCut's, I believe that's his Instagram, that's his YouTube name, his video, and it kind of tripped you up a little bit, this will help you too. So this ultimately will help, but I do have to put that trigger warning in the beginning for everybody. So I'm not going to be showing the footage for the video that I am reacting to, just in case. From what I understand, Von is a minor, from what I'm getting, and just in case he decides one day in the future that he doesn't want this video up, I want him to have the option of not having everybody replaying his video on videos such as mine, right? So basically I'm just going to explain this YouTuber. He talks a lot about spirituality. He has a really big community. From what I understand, he's 17. I might be wrong. I just did a little bit of preliminary research, and he posted this video. I had never heard of him before until somebody sent me this video and asked me to react. When I saw the video, I actually received a few more messages asking me to react. When I watched it, it's a 37 video. It appears that he is coming off of some sort of hallucinogen. At first, I didn't want to make that assumption, but then I saw that some of his other videos did talk about psychedelics that he's used and things like that. So, not trying to make an assumption about anything that he does, but it does seem in the video as if he's coming off of this. He doesn't seem like himself. He's not talking the way that he talks in other videos, and a lot of his followers were really worried about him. Now, the reason why I'm reacting is because while I watched this 37-minute video, I was like, oh, okay, I get him. I've been there. I've been exactly there. And in fact, this is something that I've been going through for the past year. Now, I almost have this weird feeling that I went through this because I have to make this video, and because there are people out there who need the help, the kind of help that I sought out for the past year. So I know that I'm kind of talking in circles. You're gonna understand everything very soon. Let me kind of explain what Von is saying in this first. I'm going to just skip through a few of the things that he's saying. The video is called The Hamster Wheel. Wake up, it's not real, it's time to be free. I will say a lot of what he says in here is true, but he has a warped sense of what he experienced and what he discovered. And this all has to do with the falsehood, with the lies that this place called the Void, this is just a name that intuitively came when I went there, and a lot of other people also call it the same thing. This void lies to you, okay? So you go there and you get a lot of truths, but a lot of lies hidden behind those truths, right? And basically in this video, he's saying, you know, none of this is real, none of this is real, nothing is real, which is in a sense true. We are living in a dream. We are living in a dream of the one consciousness that has decided to experience life in all these different life forms. I've said that before, I've taught that before. However, the void warps this and makes you feel like you are completely alone and nothing matters, and that's not true. That's where the lies come in. I'll talk about my own experience soon. Let's just let me start looking through this and start talking about his points. So kind of in the beginning of the video, Von explains, he kind of gives this creation story, and he says that consciousness, we, right, all of us, were a thought form and we are flowing through the universe and we were bored. And this is a common thing that a lot of people experience when they visit the void. The void tells them, you created all this because you were bored. That's all. None of this is real, none of this matters. You just made this because you were bored. This is a lie. Still until now, with all our spirituality, with all our creation myths, and with everything that we theorize about reality, still, until enlightenment, or until true awakening, or until death, right? The death of the physical body or the transcendence of the soul, nobody actually knows how we started, where we came from. Science thinks that we came from a goop soup, right? Like, we actually don't know. And I'm happy to report Von is okay. He posted an hour ago, which I just saw, and he's basically in his new video saying nobody knows anything, and that I agree with. We don't know anything. This is another idea of a creation myth, but this creation myth actually comes from the void. So the void is really convincing, and it tells you, and I'll explain to you what I mean by it tells you, right? That sounds kind of strange, like who's telling you what, right? But this void tells you this is all you are. You were just this one thought form. You're completely alone, and all of this is fake. And it makes you feel bad about it all being fake. But our existence is not a bad thing. And it's not just because some omniscient being was bored. There's meaning to it. There's a reason for it. And though we might, reincarnate to learn new things and to experience new things, it's not because we're stuck here. But the darkness, I'm not saying like our internal darkness or night and day or black and white. Darkness is a great thing. Darkness is a part of us. But this darkness that exists in the void is a very other kind of darkness. It's a darkness that likes to recruit. It has a recruitment team. And it wants to convince us of its creation myth. And it wants to convince us like, look, this is what's reality. And it's really convincing. And Von was really convinced by it. I'm gonna go keep playing it. So another thing that he says is, we're not God because we're great. We're God because we're the only things here. So, in one sense, oneness, source, does truly mean that there is one thing here, and that one consciousness is living out from each one of our bodies. So yes, we are technically the only one here, but we have incarnated into all these different levels and aspects of ourselves. And there are other worlds, and there's so much more to this experience than just this. And we're not stuck here. We came here, and yes, we developed, some sort of amnesia of why we came here, but the whole game, the whole experience is to find out. And from my own experience, I found everything to be extremely meaningful. Everything matters. So what happens is when some people end up in the void, they start to think that nothing matters, that none of this is real, you can die and nothing will happen. That's not true. That's not true. Everything matters. And I kind of want to get away from reacting and kind of talk more about my own experience with this void. So about a year ago, I went to do my 4 consecutive sessions of ayahuasca after already doing 4 the previous year. One night I had a very, very profound experience. It's documented in Aaron Dowdy's podcast, and a few of them, I believe, where a lot of things were going on behind the scenes that I just didn't feel like I could share or that was helpful to anybody to share. And I had found myself in a really dark place. And I went up the second night to get my cup of the medicine, and I was with my hands clasped, and I was begging the Great Mother, the spirit of ayahuasca. I was begging, please give me a reason to want to be here. Please give me a reason to want to be here. And so then I went, it's always, whenever I've tried to record something like this for a very long time, and it's very exhausting. It takes something out of the soul almost to bring myself back there. So please be patient with me as I try. I don't have any notes in front of me or anything. I'm trying to get my brain organized. And so that night I had a really intense 8-hour experience where I was like losing my mind. And in that experience, within the 8 hours, a lot happened. You can hear a lot about it on Aaron's podcast about it. But one of the most significant things that stayed with me was I ended up in the void. Now the void is absolutely terrifying. The void is completely void of everything. I have no body there. There's just consciousness. And just this enduring, debilitating, soul-crushing feeling of loneliness, of being all alone. Except for that, I wasn't completely alone there. There were these creatures, these beings that I felt and I heard and I interacted with, but I didn't see. What I experienced them is these little gnomes, okay? And they were really cruel to me, and they were laughing at me, and they were saying, oh, you think the human world is real. We knew you'd come back here. We knew you'd end up here. Now you realize that you created all that all that is fake, that this is real. This is what you are. This is where you exist. This is all there is. You're completely alone. And that loneliness it tore me apart, My physical self was screaming at the top of my lungs. They were trying to get the ayahuasca out of me, trying to get me out of the maloca because I was, bothering everyone, I'm sure. Except for after everything, they all came to me and gave me so much love, so much support. It was a lot of subscribers over there, and they were so kind, so sweet, even though I had spent most of the night screaming, okay? So I ended up at the void. And I didn't want it to be true. I experienced that. I didn't want it to be true, but it was convincing. It was really convincing. And after I went through the void and I ended up back in between worlds, I basically had to claw my way back to here, back to Leeor, back to who I am. I had to find my way back through the madness. And I found my way back. And ayahuasca always gives you your intention. She gives you what you want for, what you ask for. And what did I ask for? I said, please give me a reason to want to be here. When I got back to my physical body, back to earth, I wanted to kiss everybody's feet. I wanted to make out with everybody. I was obsessed and in love with everybody and everything because holy crap, I'm back. I'm back. This is heaven. This is where we want to be. This is incredible. I can't believe I made it here. I'm back home. I'm back. I'm Leeor again. I'm so happy. I get to be me again. I get to have my family again. I get to have Aaron here. I get to have Patty and Victor and all my friends and my brothers and my dog. Oh my God, I love Earth. I never want to leave. Earth is the greatest party of all time. But I had to go to the void and I had to go through all these different things, okay? So that night was great. The next night came and I was terrified again. I was trembling and I usually, walk up to the maloka pretty confidently, but now I was scared. And the reason I was scared was amazing. I feel great today. I'm so happy to be here. However, am I happy to be here because I'm so terrified that the void is true? And at that time, I didn't have a name for it. I didn't really have any way to explain it, okay? The last night that I did ayahuasca, I had an experience with the Great Mother, and she came to me in the form of Mother Mary. And the reason why this happened is because I was praying. I said, please don't take me back there. Please don't take me back there. I want to stay here forever. I love it here. Please don't take me back there. And then I started crying and I was thinking, is that real? Is it true? I was praying and praying and praying. And this figure came to me as Mother Mary. And she said, no, my love, God is real. I am God. You're God. God is real. A benevolent and loving being exists and loves you so much. And remember, you experienced me. You already experienced me. Remember when you were 20, 21? Remember when I showed you the truth? Do you remember that? That was real. Don't let the darkness fool you. So that was one of the most beautiful nights of my life. I spent the whole night praying in devotion, hands up, praying to the Great Mother, thanking her. And of course, the Great Mother is the feminine aspect of God. We often see in Judeo-Christian religions, Islam, and all the modern religions, we see God as a masculine figure. And God is a man, but God is also a woman. God is everything. God is all of us. To think that there's only a masculine aspect of God is to miss a whole other side of existence. And in that night was decidedly feminine. And the Great Mother was with me, and she healed me. She took me in her arms, and she said, I love you. You are so loved, each and every single one of you. You are so, so, so loved. So that night was ecstasy. It was beautiful. I needed it. That's not the end of my story with the void. I go back to my normal life in Los Angeles, and sometime in February, I watched a trip report from somebody speaking about nearly the same thing that Von was saying. It was an ayahuasca trip report, and this person had gone to the void, where I believe Von had visited himself as well, and where I had gone, right? Where those gnomes were messing with me, and where I was convinced that none of this is real, which it isn't. It's a dream, but it's a beautiful divine dream. It's not this thing that we're stuck inside of. So I watched this person's video, and I disassociated. And I had one of the scariest panic attacks of my life. This event would trigger several other panic attacks in that month. These panic attacks, I lost my grip on reality. I was back to screaming, crying. My family was with me, didn't know what to do. I wanted to go to the hospital. I was completely disassociated. I said, no, I don't believe anything. None of this is real. None of this is real. This is all fake. You're all lying to me. Everybody's watching me. Paranoia, just madness. And my panic attacks before in the past were never like this. They were panic attacks that were induced by stress in the past. This was a panic attack induced by post-traumatic stress, right? From that night on ayahuasca. Hearing that somebody else experienced what I experienced triggered that break in me. In February, I went on to have 3 more of these intense, terrifying panic attacks. Then I went to Guatemala. And when I was in Guatemala, something about being in silence and in nature and meditating every day and eating super healing foods and having good company healed me, and I stopped having panic attacks. Some mystical things did happen to me in my little hut at night, but no entheogens were taken. There was nothing consumed, nothing like that. It was just some magical things happening. And that's when I started to seek out professional help. So I spoke to my astrology teacher about this. I got a session with a shaman. I got a session with a healer. I got a session with an integration specialist. I worked with my hypnotherapist. I worked with many professionals trying to figure out what I had seen and if it's true. Because back in early 2020, I believed that it was true, just like Von did in this video. Until I had a very good integration with a shaman, and this shaman told me, she said, my love, you visited the void, and in the void exists the darkness. And that's when I finally had the names for these things, and they resonated so much. And she asked me, does it feel true? And I said, honestly, it does. It feels true. And she said, well, what about that thing that you experienced when you were in your early 20s? Did that feel true? And I said, well, that was actually beyond truth. It was everything. I saw everything. It transcends truth. That's what that experience was, and I'll share that one with you. I share it often on this channel, but I'll share it again with you in just a moment. And she asked me, what about the last night with the Great Mother healing you all night? Did that feel true? I said, yeah, that felt real. That felt like love. That felt like devotion. It felt like there really is a benevolent, loving being that we all come from, but that also exists everywhere and is meaningful, and there's a reason why we're here. This isn't just pointless. This doesn't not matter. And she asked me, well, if all those 3 things felt real, can they all be real? And what I discovered, what I learned from my intuition and from speaking to all these professionals and going on this journey the past year, is that that void is real. But it's not the only real thing. It's a place you can go to. You can accidentally end up there. My friend, it turns out, after a salvia trip, ended up in the void, also traumatized from it. Myself, during ayahuasca. Some people during LSD. And some people during whatever, Von was experimenting with. So the void is this real place that exists, but it's not the only real place that exists. It's not the only truth. And so that was really comforting to me because it made me realize, well, there's this aspect that's just another aspect of reality, but it's not everything. And everything that I believe is true as well. Okay, my camera overheated and the sun is in our way, so let's move over here now. And I just want to wrap this video up by explaining to you what I did see once again in my early 20s. During this time, I was not spiritual, right? I wasn't meditating. I was doing yoga, but I wasn't doing anything other than that. I believe I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, and I was drinking at the time. I was kind of deep in unconsciousness, actually. I was in a really bad relationship, things like that. But with all that, I still received grace. And grace is when you receive a gift that you don't deserve from God, okay? I didn't do anything to receive it, but I received an unabiding awakening, which is basically partial enlightenment that doesn't stay with you, right? So you get it and then it goes away eventually. For me, it went away really fast, but I spent years trying to figure out what it was. I only found the name of it this past year, which is Unabiding Awakening. Adyashanti is the one that calls it that. I spent years looking in books, looking up videos, documentaries, and no one seemed to be able to explain to me what I had experienced spontaneously on 2 different events, which seems to be a rarity in itself. Now, so what happened to me is one of the first times, it's been a long time so I get them mixed up, but one of the first times I was walking out the door of my house, my childhood home. I was going to see my boyfriend at the time, and as I reached over for the doorknob, I had this split second. Now, understand, it took the time that it takes for me to snap, but I had this like mind-blowing expansion where I'm suddenly not in my body. I was outside, scoped out. It's almost like I saw Earth from afar, okay? And I was watching Earth and learning and remembering everything. I got all the answers. I got the cure to cancer. I got every answer to every math problem, every science problem, every theory, everything just like that. And I was like, oh, right, that's it. Oh my God, yes, oh. And watching me watch all of this and remember all of this was this loving, benevolent presence, okay? It almost felt like a shield around me. And it was looking at me like, remember, like, feel it. But no words, nothing like that. It was just, you felt this benevolent, loving, good thing watching you, okay? And I hadn't been, I really wasn't spiritual all the time. So for me to gain all these insights that I would later go on to teach and make a whole life out of, which is what I have right now, was astounding, right? Because I wasn't looking for this. I wasn't searching for this. I just got it. And that's grace. Got all the answers to everything, and I saw myself a part of everything. I saw that we're all connected. Literally every single one of us is connected. There is no separation. I am the trees are me. I am all these flowers, I'm everything here. I'm connected to everything. We are all one. We're all, the person watching this and the person recording this here, we are the same thing. We come from the same place. We are one. I was gonna say we're brothers, sisters, family, but we're really just one. We're one in the most beautiful sense of that word, that concept. Not in the concept of, oh, I was bored, so I created this illusion, this game. this is the mystery unfolding. We'll find out, we'll figure it out one time, we'll figure it out eventually, right? But we're here for a reason. I saw that love is the answer to everything, and I know it sounds so cliche, but the reason why it sounds so cliche is because people from history, different artists, different, channelers, different creative people, and people from all across the spectrum have all been able to channel this message, which is love is everything. And I mean that in the strongest sense of the word. I saw that literally nothing mattered but love, because what we are is love. We come from love and we return to love. We are never born and we never die. We are love. We are just the vibration, the frequency, the embodiment of love, and we come from a being that loves us unconditionally. And we are that being at the same time. But at the end of this life, when we wake up out of this, we're not going to find ourselves in the void and saying, what was that? Like, was it fake? Was everything fake? No. I don't remember who wrote this quote, but I believe that when we wake up, when we leave this body, we'll wake up and we'll say, wow, was that life? Well, once more. And then we go right back in, because we love it here. We love it here and we fight to be here. We want to be here. I know it feels like suffering, but when you come from perfection where everything is perfect, sometimes you want something different. So the void is convincing. The void convinces us, and a lot of people who take hallucinogens, entheogens, psychedelics, a lot of people end up there. It's very common. But just as many people on and off of entheogens, many of them just through meditation or through fasting or through self-realization, all come to the same conclusion that love is everything. We're here for a reason. Everything is meaningful. It's all love and it's all good. It's all perfect. That's the last lesson I learned from my experience. While reaching this doorknob in a split second, I saw it's all perfect. And this loving energy showed me war, poverty, violence, all these things that we think is so horrible. Yeah, of course, on the human level, they're absolutely terrible, and we need to do things about them, and we should do things about them and actively work against them. However, ultimately, it's all going according to plan, believe it or not. It's all going according to plan. And I had this experience before any of the spiritual books, other than Law of Attraction. I'd read about Law of Attraction, but the books that I'd read didn't really say anything about this stuff. I found Adyashanti's The End of Your World. That's the book that we've been reading on this channel in the 30-day meditation challenge. And it changed everything for me, because he put everything I experienced into words and validated me. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, I'm good, because that is the truth. That's what's real. What I experienced by accident, not by going to take this journey that's, for some reason I ended up in the void. What I experienced by accident is true. So yes, the void is real. What Von is saying in his video, that none of this is real, blah, blah, blah. In a sense, that's true. But there's more to it than that. And I think it's really important for people to understand. I think that there were slight undertones in that video that really worried me, because he's such a young man. And I was really worried about him because I've been where he is, and the undertones of self-harm were concerning to me. And I was worried that some of his community, his subscribers, would take his words too far and maybe harm themselves because of it. But I'm really happy to see that he's back on YouTube. He seems like he's fine. He's integrating. And if Von for some reason watches this, if you want to reach out to me, if you need help with any sort of integration, if you don't have anybody there for you, I'll be there for you 100%. I can also give you the resources that I have, the people who have helped me integrate. On psychedelics, this is my personal opinion. You can do your own research on this. I think that it's really important to wait until your brain fully develops to start working with psychedelics. Now, there's so much good with them. They expand your consciousness, expand your awareness. They, take you out of the matrix, make you see that this is illusion and how to work with it. But when you're really young and you don't have the resources and the ability to integrate really mystical experiences. It's kind of like Kundalini awakenings. You're not supposed to actually have a Kundalini awakening till later on in your life, and Kundalini awakenings when you're younger can drive you insane. That's why mine, somehow I lived through it, which is cool. I don't know if it was a full one. It could have also been a non-abiding one. But chasing these things, just give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to do it. And if you are a teenager and you're considering doing that, if you want my 2 cents, I'm very happy that I waited until I was 25, almost 26, to do my first ayahuasca ceremony. And after that is the only time I ever did any other plant medicines. Just want to put my 2 cents out there because I think, you know, I've seen somebody very close to me be really affected by psychedelics when he was doing them really young. So I hope that helps somebody out there. I hope anybody who's dealing with anything like that or experienced anything like that, if I could help you with that, let's talk in the comments. I know that this is a very niche topic, but it's something that happened to me, and so it was important for me to talk about. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up on this video because the YouTube algorithm is not going to recommend it because I talked about interesting things, right? Trigger warnings. So if you could share this with somebody who might need it, who it would help, I'd appreciate that. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep your vibrations way, way, way up. Bye.